Good afternoon. It's great to be with you all. I'm sitting here in Jennings Hall, where Linda and I have moved in for the week to join new parents and families as everyone moves in our new class for this fall. I'm have the real privilege of having these monthly Facebook Live sessions. So if this is your first time to join us, please do join us throughout the academic year. You're going to see a lot of motion behind me because students are still moving in here in Jennings Hall as well as across the campus. Please know that what I really want to do is to answer questions that you may have. We have a few that have already been submitted, but if you're watching this live on Facebook Live, please do submit questions and I'll do my very best to get to them. We are having a great year this fall. We had over 34,500 applications for the fall first year student class, and that's up from 8% over just last year, and it's a new record for our university. So when you look at the new students that are joining us, there are roughly 6,400 new freshman students who are starting. We have about another 1,000 online students, and if you add new online students, and if you add the transfer students to that, as well as those that are the first time in college, we have over 8,000, roughly 8,600 new students that are studying for their undergraduate degrees here at the University of Florida. We have another 3,000 graduate and professional students that are new to the university. So all total, welcome to all 11,000 new students that are new Gators here and studying at the University of Florida, online or here in actually Jennings Hall as well. We also have new faculty. I had the real privilege just yesterday of welcoming our new faculty to the University of Florida. There are approximately 250 new faculty that are joining our cohort of incredible faculty across the university. Our highest priority for the coming few years is to actually grow the size of our faculty by some 500. We have all total about 5,000 faculty, and this includes those that are here in Gainesville. It includes those that are clinicians and also those that actually out in different parts of our state doing teaching and work with the communities all around the state. And about 2,000 of those are in our colleges and schools here in Gainesville. And we want to add to that number by over 500 faculty. We received funding this past year, from the state, and we're asking for new funds for the coming year to continue to grow the faculty. One of the great things that you would see on campus if you were to visit us are some of our new facilities. And I won't go through that amazing list of all the buildings that we've opened this past year, but I'll just name 3 of them that I love that we just opened this past spring. The first is Newell Hall, which is open to our students virtually all the time. And it is not for classes, it is not for faculty offices, it's purely for students to get together, to collaborate, and to study. And another new building is our Joseph Hernandez Chemistry Building, which is indeed a building dedicated to a department, but over half our students will take classes in chemistry in that just spectacular facility. And then this evening, we are having convocation in the O-Dome, in Exact Tech Arena, and it's just a spectacular, sparkling, brand new facility that opened this past year. And I look forward over convocation to greeting all of our new families and our new students as we talk about the coming academic year. So I'm going to interrupt my notes, and I have a lot more I want to tell you all about as questions come in. So I'm going to take a few questions, then I'm going to come back and I want to tell you about the amazing gifts and philanthropy that have come to the university. So one question that was submitted on Snapchat has to do with athletics, and I'll talk about more regarding athletics in a few minutes. But the question is very simply, are we going to win a national championship in football this year? In every one of our 21 sports, we intend to win national championships this coming year. Can't promise it, don't guarantee it, but that's our goal, including in football. So not just the SEC East, but we're focusing on winning the entire SEC and the national championship in football. So again, I can't guarantee it, but we're going to work on it. it turns out that we have our first game against Michigan in Arlington, Texas. I believe it's on September 2nd. I'm going to be there. If you can join me, please come. But if you can't be there, please watch the game. It's going to be an incredible game against Michigan in Arlington, Texas. We also have this weekend a volleyball game, and we also have a soccer game, and I'll say more about that in a moment. So let me take a couple more questions, actually, that have come in. One question is very focused, and it's about what can grad students and the University of Florida do in order to get the public more excited about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. In my mind, one of our obligations as universities is to be engaged with the public and our society around the areas that we teach at a university. And part of what we teach are these areas of science, technology, and engineering and mathematics. And I really believe that the scholarship of our faculty, the classes that are taught in all disciplines, including STEM, which is my own area, is relevant to issues that are facing society. But that also includes humanities, social sciences, the fine and the performing arts as well. And I think I've seen a real transition in the past decade in our faculty getting engaged, as well as grad students and undergrads, in public issues, challenges facing society, global challenges around safety, around nutrition and health, around economic disparity, and faculty adding their expertise to how you may solve those issues, and also our students learning about them and engaging in the public. So I think we have a real role there, and I encourage our faculty to do that. It's not easy to get involved in the public discourse, but when our scholarship and our courses that we teach have something to say, I think it's in our obligation to speak up, and I try to do my part on that as well. Okay, one more question, and then I'm going to get back to some of my notes. There are a lot of questions I need to get to. Okay, this one's a serious question. How many orange and blue ties have you purchased since becoming our president? I have about 40 of them, you all. And I have to confess, this morning I put on a red tie, blue shirt, red tie. And the reason for that, I was speaking to Santa Fe College's convocation this morning, but I took it off right after the convocation and put back on my orange tie. This one actually was a gift from the family of a former trustee. So not all of them were purchased, but I've got more shades of orange than you can believe, and blue. And I know this is not the perfect shade, but I like it. Okay, let me tell you all about just the amazing generosity of our alumni and friends to the university. So we, 3 years ago, for the first time, had over $300 million in new gifts and commitments to the university in 1 year. That's an impressive, amazing amount of philanthropy to the University of Florida. A year ago, we announced that we had $403 million in new gifts to the University of Florida, new gifts and commitments to the university. Well, we are now announcing just this month actually, the month of August, that in the past year we raised $450 million, and our goal for the coming year is $470 million. Now, the reason those numbers are important is that those gifts go to incredibly important programs. They go to financial aid for our students, and they go to endowed professorships that allow us to support and also recruit spectacular faculty. And they go to our endowment, which will allow us permanently to continue to raise the stature of this amazing university as that endowment and the payout from the endowment, which is used for these programs, continues to grow. So our goal as an institution is to double the size of this endowment over the next several years. It's about $1.6 billion now, and the very best public universities have endowments that are all above $3 billion. So that's one of the goals for us, is to get into that category of universities. And secondly, that means we need to sustain the kinds of gifts that are coming to us on an annual basis now, which is just spectacular. So this rise in the philanthropy from just a few years being $300 million to now over $400 million with a goal of $470 is, I just can't tell everyone, all of those that have donated, how important it is, but how so grateful we are here at the University of Florida. Our students who receive the financial aid, both undergrad and grad, our faculty for the support that you provide, and the great institution that you all love, along with me and those that indeed work here. So thank you all for that. We have some big announcements in the fall about our goals and also what we've already raised toward those goals. Let me take an aside now and talk to you about something that's been in the news just the last few days, and then I'll get back to those questions. The big news item, and this has actually been on national and international news, is the fact of back in was on Saturday of this past weekend. I sent out a note to our campus that the National Policy Institute was talking to us about the possibility of bringing Richard Spencer to campus and having the use of our Phillips Performing Arts Center for him to speak at. And so I shared that with the campus. I shared that news, and because it was on social media already, and I also indicated that we were in discussions with them about the security costs. That announcement went out as the events in Charlottesville, Virginia were unfolding on Friday and all day on Saturday. And as you all know, there was violence, there was death in Charlottesville, and we saw all the horrific scenes and the weaponry that was displayed in those marches and in the protests. As we watched that unfold, and then as we began to see the real threats to the University of Florida, which were stating that there would be death and violence here at the University of Florida in Gainesville that would be greater than in Charlottesville, we reassessed whether or not we would let the National Policy Institute indeed come and hold a rally that could be similar or even worse in the results in terms of violence and death. Overarching over all of this, and everyone should understand this, is the fact that one of the fundamental tenets of our Constitution is the First Amendment, which provides freedom of speech. And many of the members of our community don't understand this, but the government is not allowed to censor speech of any form, including hate speech. And so it was not the words, it was not the thoughts that were behind our decision, which we announced on Wednesday, in which we decided not to allow the National Policy Institute to come to campus and hold their event on September 12th, as we were discussing with them. But instead, it was the real imminent and the real threats against us, which included death and violence, that caused us to prohibit them from coming on that date. Please know, you all, that freedom of speech is something that the University of Florida upholds. We have a stellar record. I do not know of any time ever in our history where we have not allowed someone to come to campus. But it was the real threat of what happened in Charlottesville and the threats, explicit threats against the University of Florida and our people and the city of Gainesville, that caused us to indeed make that decision in this case. I now want to go back to take a few of the questions that have been submitted. Someone asked the following, said, I heard you can dunk a basketball one-handed. It's true. Yeah, I just want to affirm that it really is true. Now the basketball net has to be about 6 feet high, not 10 feet high, but I can dunk it, no problem, no problem. The next question is, will the University of Florida commit to statewide divestment strategy that will fully support green and renewable infrastructure? I think there are two parts to this question. One part of it is the question about our commitment to LEED certifiable facilities on campus. Secondly, about our own policies that have to do with the energy that we consume here in Alachua County, and also how we manage our physical resources and those that are disposable as well. This university, starting really back with President Machen, made a significant commitment about our footprint as an institution and our employees and our students and the facilities that we have, and a real commitment to invest in having facilities that were green and to have resources that are consumed that are indeed renewable. There are other broader questions that are under the control of our investment committee regarding our endowment that have to do, I think, which may be a part of this question regarding how our endowment is invested, in which I know, having sat in on some of those committees, we do want to have socially conscious investments. And particularly, I believe a university needs to be a lead in these areas. There's another question that has to do with, am I happy with the Swampy Memes? Is it memes or is it memes? The memes, okay. I had to ask someone here sitting with me, helping me on Facebook. To be honest, I haven't seen them. Now, I've seen some of them that have come up on Twitter and on our website, and I know some of them make fun of the president, and which I encourage you all to do, and others of those are not complimentary, and anytime you all want to make fun of the president, you guys have full freedom to do that, because that's what I do. I take advantage of it myself. Let's see if there are any more questions. If not, yep, here, oh, mercy, there are a lot more coming in. Question about parking. I was waiting for a parking question. My favorite question. We are actually investing in additional garages. We have plans in place this coming year to add a lot of parking. You know, we balance the needs for additional parking with actually encouraging all of us to commute in ways to campus that do not involve parking. But parking is indeed something we are investing in. Here's another question. It has to do with sports again. Outside of college, who's your favorite sports team? Well, I went to high school in Miami, at Miami Killian, so I have to confess that the Killian Cougars are a team that I support. And I apologize to all of you that graduated from Palmetto and other schools in southern Florida, but go Killian Cougars. I've got my T-shirts. I've got a Killian Cougar. Kind of looks like a teddy bear more than a cougar, but it sits in my office as well. Another question, I love the variety of these questions, says the following. It says, this came in on Instagram. What will you do to foster a university community that continues to speak out against hate speech, ignorance, and intolerance, while also protecting free speech and different opinions? And you all, that is indeed the balance, and it's actually what we want to do as an institution, is to do both of those. But there's real tension in doing both of those, and I want everyone to appreciate that, because indeed we as a public university need and must allow those to speak on our campus with whom we actually disagree strongly. We may find their language despicable, as I did with Richard Spencer's racism and with his white nationalism, his white supremacy statements. I deplore all of those. They're despicable. But on the other hand, we cannot censor speech, no matter how much we hate that speech. And on the other hand, we also want to take positive actions, not just speak out, but actually take positive actions. So within the University of Florida, we have several things that we work on. One is just the diversity of our community and all of our employees and all of our students that come here from around the world, from all kinds of different cultural backgrounds. And it's our objective to continue to celebrate that, to support it, to allow those that have different religious perspectives or anti-religious to actually celebrate their viewpoints, but also to learn from one another in all of this. And that's what the university is all about, including those of us that are on the faculty and that work here. On the other hand, be respectful in learning from others, but also have the freedom to speak up against what someone else may say, but to provide them a safe environment in which they can speak up. So that is the tension: protecting First Amendment, which is freedom of speech, and also have an environment in which we all feel safe, are safe, and are learning from each other in an environment in which it is incredibly diverse. So I have one more important question. Oh, there are others. Okay, I'm scrolling down here. Okay, this one comes from Stephen Freeland on Facebook. Sorry to call you out, Stephen. Stephen says, what are you going to do to protect the squirrels on campus? Stephen, believe me, the squirrels are thriving as far as I can tell. Now, if you see anybody conducting violence against squirrels, my personal email is kent.fox@ufl.edu. I intend to protect squirrels. I intend to protect the foxes. And I am the squirrel president, so believe it. But I am serious. If you see anyone harming the squirrels, let me know, because we are proud of our squirrels. But we're also proud of our alligators. Okay, I've already told you guys, listen, the Gators are going to beat Michigan. So, at the end, I'll tell you the score. So I'll tell you my prediction on the score. Here's a question from someone I think who lives in Corey Village. And he says he'd like to save energy and dollars by drying clothes outdoors in the sun on drying racks. Would you object? So first off, know that I'm your next door neighbor. I live in the Dasburg house. And if you ever have anything that needs to be hung out, I've got a patio in the back. The sun shines on the patio. You can put your clothes there. And I'm serious. Just send me an email. And I've also got a dryer. You can come use my dryer. Next question actually sounds like it's from someone that actually wants to come and study here. What makes a freshman application stand out? We just want spectacular people who want to be Gators. So if you have a commitment to being at the University of Florida and you've worked hard and you're doing well in high school and you're challenging yourself with the courses that you're taking and you're doing things that matter in the world as you can as a high school student, we want you here as a Gator. It's competitive, and each year we're becoming more selective. So study hard if you're in high school and do well, and we would love to have actually the world's very best students come here and get their degree. I mentioned you all that we have coming up actually this weekend. Tonight's convocation, but on Saturday we have some athletic events coming up. I mentioned the football game, which is on September 2nd. But the volleyball game is going to be this Saturday, August 19th. It's a exhibition game. Admission is free. We're playing Coastal Carolina. Starts at 3 o'clock. I hope to drop by. And we're going to defend this year our SEC crown and compete, as we always do, for the national championship. On Sunday, this coming Sunday, August 20th, at 1 o'clock in the Presley Stadium. Again, admission is free, and it's soccer. And the University of Florida soccer team is again picked to win is picked this year to win the SEC championship. And I hope to drop by for that game as well. Let me see if there are any more questions. Okay, here are a few more questions before they cut me off. And here's a question. Is UF a veteran-friendly campus? We have an amazing number of veterans here on campus. I don't remember the exact number, but it approaches nearly 1,000 students have served or are currently in the ROTC that are here currently on UF. And because of that, we have an active veterans organization that I'm very proud of that has its own space. And there are actually national rankings of campuses that, in terms of how friendly they are and supportive of veterans, we're always, amongst all universities, all colleges, we're always in the top 10. I believe our last ranking out of all 4,000 colleges and universities in the nation, I believe we were number 6 in the nation in our support and friendliness to veterans. So Philip wants to know, what's my full name? We're getting personal, guys, which I don't mind. So I go by Kent, but it's not my first name. My first initial is W. My last name is Fox, F-U-C-H-S, and this is a big reveal. My first name is Wesley. So here's a question. What is one book that you would recommend that all students read? I'm afraid to do that. I don't want to recommend one book because each of us has our own favorites that are important to us. I've got a set of authors that I love to read, both fiction and nonfiction. My hobby is actually to go sailing. I don't get to do as much of it as I like in terms of going sailing, but I just love to go sailing. And so I read books about sailing. All my magazine subscriptions are sailing magazines, so I can live vicariously through other people that tell their adventures on sailing. But I do encourage all of us, in addition to all the things that we all read online, and I'm one of you. I read much of my newspapers online and magazines online. But a good book that you carry around, nonfiction and fiction, is pretty special. I have a good friend. I actually talked about him at commencement. His name is Glenn Altshuler, and I want to mention him because he has read 100 pages in a book every day since he was a student. Now, Glenn is about my age. I'm 62. So every day of his life, whether he was sick, whether he was working, no matter what he was doing, he read 100 pages out of a book a day. I think that's a great challenge for any of us to do, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, is to read in a book 100 pages a day. And if any of you are going to do that, let me know. I can't do it, but I wish I could. But I think it's a great challenge if any of you are going to be up to it. Now we're getting into the hard questions. One serious and then one not so serious. What's one aspect of University of Florida that I would critique? Is there one? And if so, how would you fix it? Well, there are a lot of things, you all, about this university that we're actually working to make stronger. And that doesn't mean that we think they're broken. It doesn't mean that we think that we're embarrassed about them, but we want to make them stronger. So, for example, I'm here in Jennings Hall. All of our residence halls are filled to capacity, but we need to invest in those residence halls to make them even better and more supportive for our students to live in and to study in. So I'd invest more in our residence halls if we had those resources. Another area is in, I already mentioned resources, so I won't mention those. But I'm incredibly proud of all of the greenery of the 2,000 acres here in Gainesville that we occupy. But we can even make the beauty of our campus better and stronger, and even invest more in it in the future, in the deferred maintenance of our buildings. We have just gorgeous buildings, but many of those are aging, and we need to invest in those buildings as well. Okay, so now I need to do the question that I mentioned earlier, and this one, I'm going to punt on it, I'm sorry, and the question is, who's my favorite, Albert or Alberta? So on the cover of the Alligators, the Independent Florida Alligator student newspaper, is a cover of yours truly with Albert, and I confess that we are best friends forever. But I love Alberta as well, so I'm not going to tell because I don't know. I don't know. There's a question here about the solar eclipse, you all. I hope all of you get good glasses that are certified for watching the solar eclipse. It's literally once in a lifetime. Be sure you watch it. I'll do my best to be there and to watch it. And then there's another question about fostering active debate around different political viewpoints and groups. One of my fears about universities is that we can be talking only to ourselves and not engage with the broader public or with those of us here at the university. They may have a different perspective on a different issue. It's my intent to foster diversity, both politically and also all the other areas that add to the excellence of our university, and to encourage it. I've been outspoken about that and encourage people, and this is all areas. I already mentioned differences in religion or those that are atheists, and secondly, differences in our backgrounds, our ethnicity, our race. Here's a question about new construction on campus. And I said a little bit about the buildings that we've opened. And this is from Quentin Singleton, who graduated in 2005. So those of you that haven't been on campus, the construction this summer, much of the major construction was just the infrastructure. So Stadium Drive was closed down, irritating to many of those that were here on campus this summer, as we were fixing things and investing in the future for what you don't see, which is underneath the campus. We have received funding actually for a new engineering building. We have received funding. Half of that is actually philanthropy, half of it is from the state. And so the funding for that is complete, and so we're going to be starting construction on that this year. Secondly, we are finally going to be able to upgrade Norman Hall, our College of Education building, which is one of our historical buildings on campus. And we have plans for new facilities for the future. We have received the beginning planning funds for a new music building, which is desperately needed by our Department of Music in our College of Arts. And then we're asking this coming year the state to help us with a new building that is around the areas of information sciences and technology and data sciences. So I'm going to take one last question, and this one is about Steve Spurrier, and it's very simply, can you beat Steve Spurrier at golf? And I want to reveal a secret. I can't beat Steve Spurrier in anything. Golf, anything else, you all. So I'm sorry. Steve Spurrier, as well as many others here at this university, and those that have made this place excellent are my heroes. I love the fact, you all, that Steve is so, Mr. Spurrier is so, the head ball coach, is so engaged on campus. You all may know he now lives in Gainesville. He has a office here with our athletic association, and I see him virtually every week. He's a wonderful part of our university once again. So thank you all. Please know that you can reach out to me anytime. My personal email is kent.fox@ufl.edu. If you can't remember that, or if you can't spell Fox, just send it to president@ufl.edu. I read that as well as others read that email account. And if you are going to be on campus this coming year and you haven't been for a while, please let me know. I'd love to see you. And it's really great, you all, to be a Florida Gator. Thank you.